We are ready, able and willing, and we look forward to us having been afforded this opportunity to host Davos Spring. South Africa is the leading business event destination in the continent and in the Middle East. Business events and tourism adds about 8.8% to the GDP of South Africa.
And finally, the US has officially left the World Health Organization. President Donald Trump ordered the withdrawal from the UN agency a year ago, accusing it of failing to adopt reforms and of mishandling the COVID pandemic, saying its approach was biased towards China. The BBC's Wendy Urquhart reports.
Mr. Trump made it clear he wanted to leave the World Health Organization on his first day back in the White House in January 2025. The US is walking away from the WHO, owing around $260 million in fees for 2024 and 2025. But Washington says it's already terminated funding and it has no intention of paying the arrears. The WHO boss, Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, described the withdrawal as a loss for the United States and the rest of the world.
Recapping the top stories, security has been beefed up around the East London Magistrates Court ahead of the appearance of EFF leader Julius Malema. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
Welcome to it. This is season 1 of Playlist happening right here at Maloka, and believe me, it's a party.
Set your reminder, every Friday, 9 p.m. Playlist at Maloka is in the building.
Babinanoko want to rubber stamp that kumnandi in the top half, while Ezimnyama Ngenkani are highly spirited to make this their season to shine. This is the Backward Premiership. Lesekazini forever. Catch Skukune United versus Orlando Pirates on Saturday, 24 January at 2:30 p.m. live on SABC Plus and SABC One. Then on SABC radio stations at 3:30 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 106.2 FM in Tohoyandou. The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
We got a great deal of work to do. We do. And whether we are reading aloud with our children, engaging with our children in loving ways, or if we feel like we're being absorbed into the wider pressure of society that's trying to make us think we need to be on the cutting edge of every new class or every new course, our children are following in our footsteps. And this opportunity to be in front of you is to let you know there are people like myself who are advocating for you, who take issue with the fact that you are dealing with a lot of pressure, financially, socially, to raise children that meet this ideal that's always changing. But one thing remains the same. If you are willing to set up a tradition of reading aloud with your child, creating a pathway of storytelling, which opens up conversation, you can build a bridge. We don't know what the world is going to look like. But if you have established a pattern of reading aloud with your children, talking about civic events, using that story time to have conversation, you can pull into that into the future. And when you notice your child may be dealing with bullying, maybe dealing with emotional issues, you can grab a storybook. You can sit down with that child and you can talk to each other through a story. You create a space of dialogue and you remind them of the pattern you already have, so it's not some new thing. They already know this is what we do. My call to action to you all, in another 5 years, another Pearls exam will come forward. Let's all come back with a story to tell about how we built a bridge that connects our children to a better tomorrow.
Keisha Siriboe is a researcher focusing on early childhood literacy, parent education, access and equity. And she has plied her trade in Hong Kong largely. It's 9:09. Welcome to the Talking Point. My name is Cathy Mohlahlana, and I'll be with you until midday as we lead conversations that move us. Can you believe it? Another week bites the dust. How did we get to Friday already, eh? And by the way, next week is the last week of January. So much for easing into the start of the year. 2026 is having none of it. But of course, we are looking forward to all that the year is going to bring with it, especially because we'll be in each other's companies, having conversations that matter and that make a difference on the national landscape. So on the show today, we're going to start it off with your national roundtable. I'll be taking your calls on the open line. The number to use to get in touch with us, 086 000 2032. That's 086 000 2032. On the WhatsApp voice note line, you can send your WhatsApp messages on 0614 104 107. So it's going to be one of those busy news days, particularly if you are in the Eastern Cape and in East London. That's where we have members of the EFF that have been bussed into that province, at least some of them being bussed into the province overnight ahead of today's pre-sentencing hearings in the Julius Malema matter. He was found guilty on firearm charges in the last quarter of 2025. And today then we're expecting to hear from his lawyers, who will be arguing in mitigation of sentencing, right? And then we will also expect to hear arguments arguments as part of the pre-sentencing proceedings that will be unfolding today. So live pictures out of the Eastern Cape this morning show those supporters gathered outside court. Malema is already present in court. It's not expected to be necessarily a quick process, right? Sometimes these proceedings can take more than a day. But it all largely depends on what it is that the legal teams have prepared and what they believe then the judge needs to hear before she makes a final determination on the kind of sentence then that Malema would receive in relation to that conviction. Remember, he has already been found guilty, so a conviction has already taken place, and this includes charges that relate to the firing of a firearm in public. And let's not forget that it was lobby group AfroForum that brought this matter before the courts. His bodyguard, who was with him in this matter, he's been acquitted of all charges. Malema, on the other hand, has been found guilty of 5. The charges include unlawful possession of a firearm, unlawful possession of ammunition, discharge of a firearm in a built-up area, failure to take reasonable precautions to person or property, and reckless endangerment to person or property. So those are the final charges that he has been convicted of. And today are those arguments really to try and ensure. I would imagine that his lawyers are going to be arguing that he should not be serving a sentence at all. But they will be arguing for why am I not finding the words I need to find this morning? They'll be wanting to ensure that their client gets the least punishment, for lack of a better phrase, in relation to these charges that he's facing. So we'll keep a close eye on what is unfolding in that court in the Eastern Cape. Today, the ad hoc committee will not be sitting. They concluded the evidence with Julius Mkhwanazi last night, Brigadier Julius Mkhwanazi of the Metro Police Department. So what will happen on the show is that in the second hour, we'll be taking a closer look. And I mean, this a particular matter has rightfully been on the agenda for this entire week since that accident happened, right? So we're going to then continue with that particular conversation, and we'll be looking at driving culture and unpacking what are the lessons that we should be taking from the accident that took place in Vanderbijl Park. So we'll be looking at that in the final hour of the show. And of course, then it is a Friday. So today on the Friday Wind Down, we'll be in conversation with Jeff Maluleke, our guest from Bushbuck Ridge, and he's been the sound of democratic South Africa, right? He's brought us, he's a multi-award-winning artist and has brought us many songs such as Kilimanjaro, Sala Vuya, Nsati, Kaya, and others. So we'll be looking at the EP he released in 2025 for the Friday Wind Down. So that's what you can expect coming up on the show over the next 3 hours. And as always, we look forward to being in conversation with you. Remember, your opportunity to set the national agenda is now on the National Roundtable. The number to dial 086 000 2032. That's 086 000 2032. And on the WhatsApp voice note line 0614 104 107.
Masandawana and Sudanese giants, the leader of the country, have a mammoth task to illustrate who will occupy the summit of Group C. This is the CAF Champions League. Experience the top-of-the-table clash, Mamelodi Sundowns versus Al Hilal Sports Club, this Friday, 23 January at 7:30 p.m. Live on SABC Plus and SABC2. Then on SABC radio stations at 8 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
As the nation seeks answers, SAFM brings you live, uninterrupted coverage of Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating allegations made by KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Commissioner, Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. You can also stay up to date with the Judicial Commission of Inquiry into criminality, political interference, and corruption in the criminal justice system. Stay informed, stay connected. Tune in live on SAFM 104 to 107 and follow the coverage across our digital platforms live on Facebook, X, and YouTube at SAFM Radio. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Call us on 086 000 2032.
All right, this morning I'm going to start it off in Polokwane, my hometown. Malusi, good morning. Oh no. All right, so unfortunately it looks like we're starting off the show a bit rocky. Our phone lines have just dropped, so all of the listeners that have been on the line waiting to go on air, we've just lost connection to them. Please, we're going to be calling you back in a second. Maybe let's do this. Let's just take a quick break while we reboot the system.
Do great solutions start with good conversation? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. You are listening to The Full Circle,
a space where generations come together in conversation that seek to spark curiosity, inspire innovation, and feed the curious mind. For arts, culture, and robust conversations, join me every weekday between 1 and 3 p.m. on The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga as we explore the stories, lessons, and conversations that guide us back to self.
SAFM has signed a code of conduct that is enforced by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Under the code, we are committed to giving news that is accurate, comment that is fair, and programming that is not harmful, does not amount to hate speech, or contain violence or explicit sex. If you think we are not living up to that code, then you can inform the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. Direct any complaints in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission of South Africa. PO Box 142365, Craig Hall 2024. Fax to 011-326-3198 or an email to bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more information, please visit www.bccsa.co.za. SAFM Music. Good times, good memories.
I'm just like somebody fine.
Old school sounding so good. SAFM Music with you wherever you go. Who says talking never solves anything? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
All right, let's get then into the open line, your national roundtable. You know, I always talk about the fact that we've got really smart and really important people that listen to the show. So I've just gotten some assistance in as far as the phrase I was struggling with earlier in terms of trying to describe what the purpose of the pre-sentencing procedures are and what Malima's lawyers are going to be likely to argue, that he will be looking for a non-custodial sentence. Thank you so much. And that, of course, means that the accused basically will be arguing and will be pleading for a sentence that will not entail him having to serve jail time. Thank you for saving me on that one. And that's from the good judge, Dumisa Nsebeza. I know he's going to wrap me over the knuckles for doing this, but I appreciate it, Judge. Thank you. All right. Malusi, you're in Polokwane. Good morning.
Good morning, Cathy.
Yes, sir.
Compliment. Cathy, I've got a concern. Are you still there, Cathy?
Yes, I am. What's your concern, Malusi?
Cathy, the catastrophic illegal migration that is happening in South Africa. I've been, I've been just monitoring on the news. There's this part that I saw where they've arrested a migrant. I don't know what is in Baybridge, who has got rockets and explosives. Now, how, and there is that issue at Sporo residence where the Zamazamas have taken over the place. South African had to run to stay in a community wall. A school in Eddington, I don't know how many schools are there. I heard on the, like I was listening, and they said there is about 12 illegal immigrant children who are at that school now. My question is, as South Africa or South Africans, what have we done to deserve what is happening? Because I'm telling you, if I may put it in the layman's term, we are under siege. If with the time we've been growing up in the 90s and somewhere in the 80s, South Africa was one of the quiet countries. I mean, 90s, yes, after the elections and all that. But today we've got a rise even in kidnapping. Some things that we don't know. Yeah. Where are we heading to, Cathy?
You know, Malusi, and I think this conversation, the context of the conversation is always important for us to also bring in, because remember, migration is not just an issue that affects South Africa. This is a global phenomenon, right? This is something that is affecting all parts of the world. And there was a point in time where, due to multilateralism, there was a shift, around globalization, that this idea of being a global citizen, right, that you can be born in a certain country, go to school in another country, go and work in another country. And that's really, that was the aim, to say, how do we break down these barriers in the form of borders that exist amongst us? Of course, the thinking in some parts of the world has since changed, due to the fact that how migration has been handled or managed in some instances has been very poor. So I don't want us to look at it as a South African problem only. I want us to see it in the context of the rest of the world too, because in as much as there are people trying to come to South Africa, there are people, leaving South Africa trying to go to other parts of the world, and who actually end up going to other parts of the world, right? So ours is to say, what are the challenges of migration, but also what are the opportunities of migration?
Yeah, Cathy, I understand it. You see, when we do it legally so, within the confinement of the law, that I don't have a problem with. But the moment there's an influx and our borders are porous, we see globally, yes, I see, even Donald Trump addressed it in the World Economic Forum. But if you look at our country, now I'm looking at my country, we are overburdened, Cathy. We are overburdened. We don't mind, we do go to other countries, but not illegally so. We do it within the confinement of the law. That's all my point, I guess.
Yeah, fair enough, Malusi, and that's where we've gotten it wrong, right? But I don't know if it's something that you and I can solve. Because border management has to come in. The port, those that are managing the ports have to come in and do their job. Because let's also be honest with ourselves. If somebody has made it into this country illegally, through the borders, that is a South African that is enabling that. So what is our own sense of patriotism towards our country, that we aid and abet illegal behavior, right? That part of that indictment sits with officials that are South African officials.
Yes.
All right.
You're right.
Malusi,
Thanks
let's leave it there.
Thanks, Cathy.
Faisal, you're in the Eastern Cape. Good morning.
Good morning, Cathy.
Yes, sir.
Morning, Cathy. How are you?
Good.
Well, Cathy, you know what I want to talk about, Cathy? This is oppression. It's nothing but oppression. You see what happened, Cathy? These bus companies of South Africa, before this thing was not like that, 3-4 years back, what they are doing, March, April, the price is 500. When it comes to Easter weekend, the price goes to over 1,000 rand, 1,500. I experience, Cathy, now, there are parents whose children, they could not go back to Johannesburg. They could not go back to Cape Town. Those in Joburg, I asked, what happened? They said, no, we're waiting for the price to drop. Now my question is, this government, what Consumer Watch, what are they doing? You see, Cathy, in America, about 8-10 years back, the American government, no matter what they are, because they're a progressive government, but the American government, they told the airlines, just like how you, when a passenger is late, you have to put up money and add up money on top. Should you delay that passenger, he must also be compensated, he must also be given something because you delay. So I'm surprised in South Africa, Cathy. This time, most of the people, they're getting pensioner. Now imagine if only the state, the government pension is 2,300 rand. Now, if the poor parents, because if somebody's got money, he can buy the ticket, return ticket, but they cannot afford for that. They will wait for the next term. And then sometimes, Cathy, the price of these buses is more than the flight. Some people, I advise them, why don't you take a flight? They are right. They says, look, Faisal, you are right what you say. But we come to our Tambo. How do we go to the next destination? We come to Cape Town Airport. How do we go to our next destination? So my question is that the government, what are these government Consumer Watch doing? Because these are poor people, you know. These are poor people. They're stealing them. In fact, they are worse than Cathy or Katie and this man, whatever it is, if he's like, what do you call this man, Mashallah. These people, they are worse, they are worse. They're sucking the blood of the poor people.
Faisal, is it not a demand and supply issue, right? Because you know the law of demand and supply. Is it not that?
No, it's never used to be like that. It's a new thing in the past. Passport never like in South Africa. These are new things. I was in Indonesia. I flew because I'm married. My wife is married in Indonesia. I flew in December, 4th of December, from Jakarta to Bandar Lampung. I paid the normal price. There was no changes. Even those who go by roads, they pay the same price. But for the in the airline, South Africa, they're doing it. But it's not right, Cathy. It's really, I'm telling Cathy, look, Cathy, my sister, please, Cathy. The poor old Magogo, old men, they depend on that 2,300. They have to still buy the food. If this company, Cathy, it's unfair. It can never be right. It can never be right, Cathy. This is oppression.
Faisal, I hear you 100%. All right, Faisal. And I hear you completely, because it is unjustifiable. And often that's what these companies will say, that no, the demand has gone up, so it's pushing the prices up. And we see it with the buses, we see it with the airlines too, right? This is what they do. But are there ways in which that can be contained, that there should be some kind of cap? Maybe it's worth having a conversation with the Competition Commission about it. Because how is it that a ticket can be triple its price? Triple its price. Taxi drivers don't do that, do they? They don't increase their prices to triple the margins during peak season just because it's peak season, and they too are facing higher demand. Maybe, Faisal, maybe it's something for us to look into. If nothing else, that we all are better able to understand what is influencing these prices. On that note, it's 9:30. Let me hand you over to the news desk.
Good morning, I'm Anne Musa. In the headlines, the Eastern Cape Department of Education has confirmed a third teacher has died following a shooting incident by a suspended deputy principal at Ntabankulu Primary School yesterday. Security has been beefed up around the East London Magistrates Court ahead of the appearance of EFF leader Julius Malema. He will be appearing for the pre-sentencing proceedings following his conviction of discharging a firearm during the party's 5th anniversary celebrations in 2018. And Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi is expected to be among government officials who will pay the last respects to 40 learners at a memorial service at the Soltotesi Sport Complex in Sebokeng, south of Johannesburg. The learners died in a horrific crash when their Scholar Transport minibus taxi collided with a truck. I'll have details on these and other stories at 10.
Mohlahlana and Sudanese giants, the leader of the country, have a mammoth task to illustrate who will occupy the summit of Group C. This is the CAF Champions League. Experience the top-of-the-table clash. Mamelodi Sundowns versus Al Hilal Sports Club. This Friday, 23 January at 7:30 p.m. Live on SABC Plus and SABC2. Then on SABC radio stations at 8 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
If we have rights, shouldn't we also have opinions? SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Let's have the conversation. WhatsApp voice notes on 0614 104 107.
Hey, this is Cathy and all SAFM listeners. A very good morning. What if Julius Malema is sentenced for more than 12 months? Could we actually see a social unrest in this country? Or will it affect the EFF's unity ahead of the 2026 local government elections? Or could we see Julius Malema becoming even more popular than ever before, as we are seeing even protests in Berlin saying hands off Julius Malema, adding that it's an imperialistic blackmail by Donald Trump to get rid of his enemies? That's Andile from Stacksburg in the Eastern Cape. Nielsen.
Morning, Cathy. It's election time. All the parties will play political football. Look what is happening in an Adcock and school administration. There are those parties that want to make this country ungovernable. I think those parties must go to DRC, Sudan, and Gaza. They can fit there. The only problem here, we've got no accountability. There's too much lawlessness, corruption at the borders, Home Affairs, Correctional Service. We're going nowhere. Thank you, Cathy.
Good morning, Sister Cathy. I hear you people are speaking of Mr. Trump and, of course, America, but you are not mentioning anything, or perhaps will not heard anything of he sending soon to send his troops to Iran. It seems as though another confrontation has to come up there. Anyway, have you also heard, Sister Cathy, that the NEL employees, they are not to receive their salaries, and their people are complaining now that Mr. Cyril Pinocchio has authorized about the 4% of his increase, and of course his cadres in Parliament. Yes, it just shows who the people vote for, and now they are crying. Tepilon Aldos.
Good morning, House Katie. This is VA from Mohale City in Tugato. House Katie, we are being abused by the truck drivers on the N1. The guys who are driving throttliners and fridges. On the N9 to PE, the guys who are driving side tippers. On the N3, the guys who are driving containers, they are driving you off the road. Then from there, they are showing you the middle finger. We are in big trouble.
The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
We continue the conversation on the Talking Point. This is your national round table. Let me go to Malanga. You're in Lenasia. Good morning, Malanga.
Good morning, Cathy. This is Cathy. Good morning to the listeners. It is Cathy. Today in and around this area, there is a big hype because of what happened to the 14 school kids that passed on. Cathy, the JMPD and the National Traffic officers, they always here, in and around here. Instead of assisting the drivers with the defects on their vehicles, what they are doing is they're taking money away. What is happening? The defects are getting more defects, and the JMPD officers' stomachs are getting big. I said to these guys, here's a document. Let's turn this bribery into insurance. The 50 rand bribery, even if it's more than that or less, 50 rand bribery into insurance, so that instead of feeding these guys with money every day in the morning and afternoon, so that you can repair defects on your vehicles. I commute every day. I use taxis every day. And the other thing, that government does not have a right to talk about public transport when they don't subsidize public transport. In and around this area, there's no train. Buses, they only go to town. And here, the only transport that we rely on is the taxis. Now, the taxis are not subsidized. Government wants to interfere, but they don't want to subsidize public transport. At the same time, because if you know the ranks belongs to the municipalities. Now the municipalities must have officers at the ranks. They check the car before it leaves the rank. Every morning the car must have a certificate clearing it, so that we don't get stopped on the road while it's going to work. The car gets out, the taxi gets out of the rank with a clearance every morning. And the government must organize it, get all these people who are mechanics, give them a place, subsidize them, subsidize the taxi in the public transport, the taxi industry, and regulate it and get tax out of it. But the only time they interfere in South Africa, we are reactionaries. We react to everything. Now and again, somebody in the mountains kids pass, we react. In the roads kids pass on, we react. Why are we not proactive? What is happening in this country? Why are people not proactive? What is the leadership of this country doing? What are they sitting up there doing? Is it what they're sitting down up there doing? Is what we see in the Madlanga Commission and the Ad hoc Committee? Is it what they're doing? This country. Okay. I don't know what to do.
No.
Thank you. Welcome. You have a great day.
Malanga, every right to be frustrated because the system can be working better, especially when so much is at stake. So much is at stake, just on the issues that you have raised. So much is at stake.
We have a broken system, Mrs. Clayton. South Africans must stand up and wake up and start taking things into their own hands. When I say that, I don't mean violence. I mean everybody must be active in the country to take this country to another level. We cannot be, we're going back. This country is almost dead, dying. It's dying out.
Okay.
You have no opinion. Even if you have an opinion, there's no action by our leaders. They just, I don't know what they do. Anyway, thank you.
Malanga, let's leave it there. Thanks for that contribution. Malanga out in Lenasia. Bongani, you're in Gqeberha. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Cathy, and good morning to the listeners.
Yes, sir.
I've got lots of information, but I'll have to put it in a minute or two. But I'd like to share a lot more of it with you guys, with SAFM, someone from SAFM, because I sometimes hear you frustrated by what is happening around us, the death rate, the violence, and all these things. I've been trying actually to get through to you guys to try and find someone who would want to listen to what the solution really is. But to cut a long story short, what I want to deal with right now is the issue of regulation of the church as according to the CRR purposes. I think South Africans need to be alert and to apply their minds quite deeply in some of the things. For example, they want many people express that there's a need for regulation of the church because of people who abuse the system of the church. Some of them spraying them with pesticides, some of them causing them to eat grass, which is objectionable by any standards. But we border now on hypocrisy because there are certain things that we're allowed to go by unchallenged, unquestioned, and unattended. For example, many of the people, of the children that are being abducted, are found with missing body parts. Many people are found murdered with missing body parts. And people who live with albinism live in fear because they are being targeted for their skins and for their body parts because they are supposed to make strong muti. But nobody's saying anything about that. And this involves murder, violence, brutal murder by people who never consented to donating their body parts. Now, the people who go to church are people who go there voluntarily. They know who they are going to. They know the nature of the leader that is there and what they do. And if they object to it, they should stay away. And which I recommend that they do, because those are fake churches and cult movements. Now, if we don't inform ourselves regarding the issues of church, then we're going to mix up churches and cults as one and the same thing. And this requires someone to understand and know the full extent of it. I've done my homework for quite a bit, for more than 20 years now. I've studied and tested some of the things. I've looked at the research regarding some of the things. Just to give a quick example. I'm going to offend a lot of people right now, but I think someone has to say this at some point. One of the things that is killing our nation is the dogmatic sticking to culture. And we see that in circumcision more brutally, where circumcision is killing something like 40 young men every year. But there's no one who's talking about stopping the practice, simply because we shy away from anything that seems to be indigenous or cultural. We need to be able to challenge everything, discuss everything, and put it on the table. And that culture is actually barbaric as far as I'm concerned. I speak as a Xhosa man who grew up in a rural Xhosa village. And I say that practice is barbaric. It has to be stopped. Government has to intervene by first stopping it or suspending it completely until it can be practiced in a safe manner. There is no culture that can be raised above the life of a human being. It's insane, in fact, if I can put it more bluntly. I think that is my contribution. But I would love Lebo to get in touch with me. I've written a book on some of these things. In fact, books on some of this stuff I'm talking about, and I would love to, I could even give you a free copy,
okay,
so that you look at it and examine what the discussion is about there.
Okay.
And let me end it there. Not take too much of your time. Thank you.
All right. Bongani, you've said quite a mouthful calling us from out in Gqeberha. So, yeah, I'll take you back through to Lebo. I know there will be so many people that disagree with what Bongani has said, right? In as far as some of these cultural practices. But I do think what he's saying about the preservation of human life and our need to, and the need to center the preservation of human life in all things is really important. There are too many people who are being killed in the name of these so-called Muti killings. And I know the CRL, through its work, has done a lot to try and bring these issues to light. But I just don't know that we as a society are ready to confront it to its fullness. Why? Because it also reveals the worst of us, right? The not so nice parts of us. Because if you have to kill somebody in order to further what is a belief of yours, that in doing that you will progress or you will prosper in life, that is just wrong. But are we ready to confront that it forms part of our existence? That there are those among us who believe that and who practice that. So in many ways, Bongani, part of the conversation you're raising touches on issues that are under the carpet. Are we ready to have those conversations as a country? I know we do in our private spaces, right? In informal conversations. But are we ready to tackle it as an issue, as part of the collective national agenda? Molefe, you're in Woodmead. Good morning.
Good morning, Cathy. How are you this morning?
Doing well, sir.
Thanks for taking my call. I'm always listening to the show, but I'm calling for the first time today.
Oh, wonderful. Welcome to the
Thank
show.
you. Thank you. What prompted me to call was a gentleman who called earlier on talking about migrants having infiltrated the country. Cathy, I was working and I've been unemployed for 4 years. So as a result, I was applying, I couldn't find employment, but I decided, okay, another option for me is to take my motor vehicle and do e-hailing. Now, I would like to agree with the gentleman who called, because clearly we don't have an intelligence or whoever is responsible for intelligence in this country. But if there were, they need to speak to patriotic South Africans who are on the ground, like us e-hailing drivers, because we see what is happening, particularly in Johannesburg, hence I'm a resident here. 80% of the people that we are commuting, or rather let me say I'm commuting along with the other gentlemen that my fellow colleagues that I speak to, will tell you that we are transporting foreign nationals. In the mornings, factories, whether we go into warehouses, predominantly Kibona. We go into estates, into suburb gated areas. Kibona. I am not xenophobic. I'm stating facts here. Okay. It is a concern. Whether illegal or not legal, but the reality is that there is an infiltration. It is a concern. I've been doing this job for 4 years now, and it's getting worse.
So Molefe, what would be the alternative in your view, given the fact that the situation is where it is right now, right?
Okay, can the officials or whoever is responsible, Home Affairs, can they manage the borders and what is happening internally? Because at this rate, is not only about managing just the borders, because so which means they need to work from in out, if that makes any sense, from inside out, so that they can manage this thing properly. It gets to a point when you are communicating somebody and there's a roadblock, the audacity to say, yo, Abuti, can you please take the long route around? I'll give you 50 rand extra. And I'm saying, but why? He says, no, there's a roadblock. And it happens all the time, particularly in the CBD prisons. And I always say, no, give me my full amount and get out. Because I'm patriotic like that. I cannot condone such behavior. I really cannot. But there is a problem. I listen to your show all the time. But can our government please take this situation seriously? Otherwise, this is a ticking time bomb. I was listening the other day, KZN, where they is fighting for registration of kids and whatever. It's going to mushroom everywhere else in the country. And soon we're going to have a situation where we're not going to know how to handle this matter. But can our government please intervene by the in a proper way?
Okay. All right. Molefe, thanks for that contribution. Let's take a quick break and I'm back with your calls.
Babinanoko want to rubber stamp that kumnandi in the top half. Wow, esimnyama ngenkani are highly spirited to make this their season to shine. This is the Betway Premiership. Lisekazini forever. Catch Skukune United versus Orlando Pirates on Saturday, 24 January at 2:30 p.m. live on SABC Plus and SABC One. Then on SABC radio stations at 3:30 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Sangonani Vimelang Absheni Lochani Zansi Ikamalam Guzane Lundombertus Intluzalta. But you can simply call me Uzanele Mtombeni. I am your new host, Konayi Ekaslami, the TV show that profiles some of your absolute faves, celebrities. I'm talking when an actor, musician, bona, politician, Benekan Zonke Bonke Zikona, and we take them to Ekasi and find out who exactly they were before all the glitz, glam, lights, cameras, and action. Oh, bye, Uzi. Uzi, Mutokulayo, Kulagamnan.
Ekaslami, Tuesday at 6 on SABC One. Mzansi for sure.
Wherever you are in the world, SAFM 104 to 107 is accessible. We're also streaming live on Facebook, X, and YouTube at SAFM Radio. We acknowledge and appreciate everyone tuning in and watching our streams. Stay with SAFM 104 to 107 as we bring you commission live, breaking stories, and thought-provoking lectures. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Call us on 086 000 2032.
All right, we continue the conversation on your national round table. Let me go to Curtis. You're in Middelburg, Curtis. Good morning.
Morning, Cathy. How are you?
Well, go for it, Curtis.
Thank you for taking my call, and morning to the listeners. Before I go into my issue, Bongani for president, Bongani is touching a sensitive issue, but I think we are ready to talk on it. I mean, we can't continue looking at our kids dying like that in the name of culture. Something must happen. But anyway, I'm not there, Cathy. I'm not sure, Cathy, if you watched yesterday's parliamentary committee thing.
Not all of it. Not all of it. I tuned in.
Cameron, when he was engaging, did you see Cameron? I was taken aback with the attitude and how he was particularly asking questions, and I wondered. I slept very frustrated. I wondered whether to what point. Can they go at a person like that? I like it when the chairman of that committee starts and says, we are here to have a conversation. But how they disrespect and engaged poor Julius yesterday, I was really, at the end of the day, I'm thinking every person that goes there with the intention to help them. When they get there and your main thing is to try to ridicule the person and and try as much as you can to show that you are smarter. And at the end, those people are fathers and mothers. That's where I come from, the background, and they are husbands and wives. And after you have interviewed them and disrespected them, how do they go back? And so I was really I'm not sure whether are they still committed to the objective of that commission, because Honorable James also likes doing it, and they shout over you, and you become frustrated as a listener to say, but are you getting what you are supposed to get at the end? Because now it becomes too personal, and now even now one-on-one, and I'll show you who. They will talk over you over a number of times, and you can't even answer. Before a person responds, they go again with another answer. And to a point, they want to frustrate you. But at the end, I'm saying, what is the whole point of people going there? If you can't even let them answer. I really felt like Cameron abused his time against Konas. I really didn't feel like he was really having engagement with him. In fact, it was a matter of, I will show you who I am, and I'll tell you what I want to tell you. And I'll not give you a chance to even say. And that should have been frustrating to a man. And I felt like if I was him, how do I go back and look at my kids and my wife and my family after such embarrassment? I don't think that's fair. To some point, I want to say, I think to some extent, they are really abusing their platform, or they are abusing their position of being an honorable member there and so forth. I really don't think that was a fair approach. And normally, Honorable James does the same thing. And I'm not sure whether can people just go there and be spoken to the way they want to.
Anyway, yeah.
It's really not fair.
And you know, Curtis, I'll say that I don't think they're the only ones that are guilty of it. You see it play out in different ways depending on who's in the witness chair, right? And I think it's at the end of the day, this process needs to withstand scrutiny. But one often gets the impression that when our MPs are asking questions, they're asking those questions from a point of having decided what they believe the truth is.
True.
That is the reality of the matter.
It's like they've concluded already.
Yes.
Because the chair will say, we are here to hear you so that we can make a decision. But from their angle, where they are asking from, it's like you are guilty already. I felt that way. To a point, Cameron will say, you are a thief. You are a liar. You are a thief. I'm saying, are you a court of law now? I thought people are here as witnesses so that you can make a sober and objective decision at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
So if the member already saying you are a liar, you are a thief, what is the whole point then?
Okay. All right, Curtis, let's leave it there. An important point that Curtis is raising. Tango, you're in Pietermaritzburg. Good morning, Tango.
Catchy. You know, that just changed my mind for what this guy just spoke now. I'm just thinking that these guys have the platform whereby they're interrogating the person that has come there. But the chairperson welcomes them, and he has nothing to say totally. He just be quiet. That's amazing. And I wonder if the person concerned could also lay charges against the person that's questioning it. Hello?
You know, Tango, I think that what hasn't been helpful is also this this idea that we're seeing, you know, between the MPs and the witnesses that says that we are the higher body. So when you come to us, you must be absolutely submissive to the process. Now, there's nothing wrong with being submissive to the process, but the reality is that if you're going to be confronted in some parts with gossip that is also woven in as evidence, of course people are going to come out of their shell. People are going to become defensive because nobody who's under threat will want to just sit there and take it. They will want to defend themselves. So that also changes the temperature and the tone of the inquiry.
Yeah, because, Mr. McBride, when he was there the other day, the only two people at the end that are really found that gave him a fair questioning, if I may put it like that, was the GA member and the member after that, the two women. And he did make the statement saying, now I feel comfortable. Because the questions that they prepared, or the questions, sometimes I think they prepared the questions to come and rub the guy up there. And also, at the same time, those that are there, they then make up questions, the questions that they're going to ask the person concerned. So, at the end of the time, if you are there at that particular time and you are making up questions to ask the person will be more comfortable, because then they would realize themselves that the questions that are put to them are not questions to interrogate them, or questions to maybe now affect their health and so on and so on. Because these people are not taking things into consideration.
Okay.
And moreover, that I sometimes think that they are actually taking the place of the law, whereas they were supposed to be there to help the person along so that the person can be comfortable and give as much as information as they can.
All right, Tango and Peter Maritzburg, let's leave it there. Look, interrogate by all means, be tough by all means. These are matters of national importance. But when you start to lose the purpose of it and get, and the shift becomes about how salacious, how provocative can it be, then, it's not necessarily achieving its intended end. Because once the gossip is done, what are the substantive issues that we as South Africans are concerned about that this witness has helped us get to the bottom of, that are going to feed into whatever recommendations you make as an inquiry? All right, it's 10 o'clock. Here's your latest news.
In our top stories, another death in the Eastern Cape school shooting and a memorial service for the Vanderbijl Park learners. Good morning. The Eastern Cape Department of Education has confirmed a third teacher has died following a shooting incident by a suspended deputy principal at Ntabankulu Primary School yesterday. He allegedly shot at other teachers before turning the gun on himself. One teacher and the perpetrator were declared dead at the scene, while another teacher died at Ntabankulu Medical Center. The third teacher's death was confirmed earlier. The deputy principal was out on bail following sexual assault charges. Security has been beefed up around the East London Magistrates Court ahead of the appearance of EFF leader Julius Malema. He will be appearing for the pre-sentencing proceedings following his conviction of discharging a firearm during the party's 5th anniversary celebrations in 2018. His conviction includes the unlawful possession of a firearm and ammunition, discharging a firearm in a built-up area, and reckless endangerment. Hlumisa Kabaka reports.
Thousands of EFF supporters have gathered in East London and are expected to make their way towards the East London Magistrate Court ahead of the pre-sentencing proceedings. Party members strongly believe this case is politically motivated and have vowed to support their leader, who has indicated that he will appeal any sentence imposed on him. Malema has boosted his legal team by roping in senior advocate Thembe Kangcukaitobi.
Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi is expected to be among government officials who will pay their last respects to 14 learners at a memorial service at the Saul Tsotetsi Sport Complex in Sebokeng, south of Johannesburg. The learners died in a horrific crash when the Scholar Transport minibus taxi collided with a truck. The driver, who's in custody, was allegedly attempting to overtake several vehicles when the crash occurred. Meanwhile, the family of 7-year-old Katlego Makwe, a learner at Val Primary, has appealed to government to take tough action against unroadworthy scholar transport vehicles and operators who failed to comply. Makwe died at the scene following the crash. Makwe's grandmother, Belina, says the family is still reeling from the tragedy.
The
court must give the minibus taxi driver a hard sentence. The government must also act tough on the taxi associations who do not abide by the law. They are making a profit and we are burying our children.
Parents whose children attend the Penterosa Primary School in Lenasia say the strike by scholar transport associations in the area is a major inconvenience for them. The strike follows the impoundment of more than 60 scholar transport vehicles during a blitz operation led by Transport Minister Barbara Creasy. 3 drivers were also arrested for overloading their vehicles. The operation followed the tragic scholar transport crash in Vanderbijl Park on Monday. Parent Ndubuho Tanzwani says he had to take leave from work today to ensure his child makes it to and from school safely.
I feel very sad because at the end of the day, the scholar transport demand money, whether it's holiday, December, the schools are closed, we pay them. So I feel like it's their responsibility to take my child to school at any time. Whether they are strike or something, I think they must make means for my child to be at school because the school is demanding my child to be there. And the other thing, the inconvenience that I have was that I had to take a day off from work to come and bring my child because I felt that my child is not going to be safe and I cannot say only with the mother because it's a woman. So now I'm here.
And finally, Finance Minister Enoch Godongwana says South Africa will just take a break from participation in the G20 this year under the US presidency and will only resume full participation next year. Godongwana told a media briefing at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, that South Africa's influence on G20 issues will continue despite the country being blocked from all G20 participation under the United States presidency this year. Godongwana says the US is not willing to accredit South African delegations.
What we do know is that South Africa is on leave in 2026. We've taken leave, not because the Americans can chase us out of the G20, but they hold an important instrument, the accreditation. If you don't have the accreditation, you can't get into the venue, even if you're around. So we must take this that is purely a temporal setback for 2026. 2027, I don't think the presidency is going to be the UK. I doubt if the UK will take a similar posture.
Recapping the top story, the Eastern Cape Department of Education has confirmed a 3rd teacher has died following a shooting incident by a suspended deputy principal at Ntabankulu Primary School yesterday. For SAFM News, I am Anne Musa.
What if your child could achieve better academic results in 2026? At Teneo School, they can. Our smart school system tracks every learner in real time and helps teachers spot gaps early. The results? With over 3,500 successful Teneo School matriculants, learners improve their average marks by 12% in the first year. Access affordable private schooling, no restrictive entry, fees starting from 3,000 Rand per month. Enroll now for 2026 at teneoschool.co.za. That's TENEO school.co.za.
Welcome to it. This is season 1 of Playlist happening right here at Maloka, and believe me, it's a party.
Set your reminder every Friday, 9 p.m. Playlist at Maloka is in the building.
You can become a victim of a legal problem, wrongful arrest, assault, uncontested divorce, rental disputes, maintenance matters, or labor problems. It can happen to you. Clientele Legal provides tough professional lawyers for an affordable monthly premium. Our legal team is standing by to assist you 24 hours a day. Join today. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Here, there, and everywhere. SAFM 105.3 FM in Uppington. The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays 9 a.m. till midday.
All right, you're listening to The Talking Point. It's 9 after 10 o'clock. Welcome to the second hour of the show. Coming up in this hour, we're going to be reflecting, I guess as we end off the week, on the story that has gripped the nation, claiming the lives of 14 young people as they made their way to school. This morning, a memorial service is being held in Vanderbijl Park to remember these young lives. And the moment itself creates an opportunity for us to ask very, very important questions and to also draw lessons from this tragedy. Why? Because we have to, by all means, try to do what we can to ensure that this does not happen again. So we'll be getting into that conversation for this hour of the show. Before we get into it, lots of your WhatsApp voice notes on different issues this morning. So let's take a couple of them and then we'll unpack the Vanderbijl Park accident.
Good morning, Katie, and your producer and all the listeners of SAFM. Katie, I like to comment regard to Mr. Julius Malema. AfriForum is against Mr. Julius Malema. Is running the politics somewhere because Julius Malema, it was not wrong at all. How many people is doing that, especially at the funeral? You can find gangsters is doing that, but you can't find the police is come and arrest them. Why now? Because of Mr. Julius Malema is a politician, or AfriForum is against Mr. Julius Malema? Like, seriously. I don't know what's gonna be happen, Kate, if maybe Mr. Malema is arrested, because you can see people is coming with their numbers in East London to support EFF leader. So this thing to me is a politic. Sia from Cape Town. Thank you.
Morning, Cathy. You see what is happening with Julius Malema is quite painful to see even black people celebrating his downfall, saying he must face prison time. This is no longer only about Julius Malema and the brandishing and firing of a firearm in the fashion that he did. This is about a black man being persecuted and prosecuted for standing up against the system of white supremacy and trying to silence him and squash him to the ground. Thanks.
Cathy, how is it that the ANC, in the person of Lesotho, just hands residents of Randfontein's homes over to Zamazamas? They've now invaded the homes. The people, or the residents of these homes, fled. And Lesotho says they will be relocated. What happened to getting these Zamazamas out? Why are they stepping back for the Zamazamas? These people are ruling our country with the ANC. Useless ANC.
Good morning, Cathy. Whose voice will make sense to their ears? Perhaps the only language they understand is that of their political heroes who inspired them in their early days of time. You know, let me refer them to Lenin when he said, "Those who serve supreme powers should consider what they can give to the people and not what they can get. So nowadays, these politicians, they only think about their stomachs and pockets rather than saving the people. Thank you, Cathy. This is Ruben Rapitan.
Good morning, Katie. I would like to talk about what the spokesperson of education said here on SAFM. He said that at LDs in primary school, only 5 foreign learners are without documents, and the department is helping them to get the document from Home Affairs. So my questions are, does this mean the parent would get documents in order to help their children become documented? What is the process for documenting a child of an illegal immigrant? And which law in the country makes provision for this? Another thing that's confusing me is that Sbongsen Lomo said it was 12 undocumented learners, but the number has now been reduced to 5. Did the 7 learner already get help with the documentation? Or were the figures incorrect? I'm confused. Please help, Katie.
Morning, Cathy. You see, I personally cannot support the taxi industry at all, and I will never do so, because the taxi industry is full of hypocritical people. They terrorize us, the very same commuters, or the very same black people, and then they want to support it. They are going around beating up people, taking people out of their own cars because people are not supposed to drive with their families and friends. Only one person is supposed to be driving a car alone. So they're coming up with their laws and all the things. And yet at the same time, they expect us to support them or to feel for them when the law is being enforced. So I, as an individual, I'll never support them. Thank you.
SAFM values your views. Be an active citizen.
You won't believe how much money Outsurance saves 40-year-old Rafiq on his car insurance.
I saved so much money. 899. That's not small change. It's more than 50% that I saved from my previous insurer.
That's an impressive saving on Rafiq's 2017 Nissan Navara 4x4. And after 3 claim-free years, he gets an out bonus. How much money could Outsurance save you? SMS out to 30754. That's out to 30754. Licensed insurer in FSP. TCs and information online.
Sanibonani Dumelang Absheni Lochani Mzansi igama lam nguZanele untomvadu izinhluzelza, but you can simply call me uZanele Mthombeni. I am your new host, khona yi Ekaslami, the TV show that profiles some of your absolute faves celebrities. I'm talking when actor, musician, bona, politician, benekanti zonke bonke zikhona, and we take them to Ekasi and find out who exactly they were before all the glitz, glam, lights, cameras, and action.
Ekaslami, Tuesday at 6 on SABC 1. Mzansi for sure.
Hi, I'm Khomotso KG Mweketi, and I believe in music's ability to connect, to heal, to remind, and to bring joy. And each week on my Saturday and Sunday show Seasons right here on SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide, I endeavor to do just that. So join the movement of Seasons every Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's addictive. You might invite a friend. Seasons, only on SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide, with me, KG Mwekezi.
For 90 years, one voice has informed, challenged, and connected a nation. SAFM, South Africa's national English public radio station. Established in 1936 as the SABC's very first service, the A program evolving through the English service, Radio South Africa, to SAFM in 1995, shaping thought and strengthening democracy. From a full-spectrum station to a trusted home of news and talk, SAFM continues to lead the conversations 90 years strong. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Cathy Mohlahlana is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X. at SAFM Radio.
Well, as the families of the 14 young people who were killed in the Vanderbijlpark scholar transport accident still process this moment of grief that has hit and struck their families, in many ways, we as a nation are also grappling with what to draw out of this tragedy, trying to make meaning of it, but also to ensure that there are no other families in future who have to confront the same fate. And yet, we know that if everything stays as it is, it will only be a matter of time. So what are the lessons that we can and we should be drawing from that accident? That's the question that I'll be asking this morning. Let me welcome Peggy Mars, who's the founder of Wheel Well. It's an NGO that focuses exclusively on child safety on the roads. Peggy, good morning to you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Also joining this conversation, Mogebe Tulo, who is the CEO of aware.org. Mogebe, good morning to you.
Good morning, Cathy. Good morning, Peggy, and good morning to the listeners.
I think a good starting point for us in this conversation is to really try and see that as we reflect on that accident, number one, are we able, Penny, to clearly identify what went wrong?
It is a systematic failure, and that is what went wrong. It went wrong at driver level. He was not licensed, he was not trained, he was not fit for driving that vehicle. The owner of the vehicle was head of the school transport forum in his area. He was in charge of the roadworthiness of that vehicle and the maintenance. That was neglected. The department neglected issuing the necessary certification for drivers. There's a huge backlog. And that you can take that neglect through every level, right up to the Department of Transport, where they have been sitting on a national school transport policy since 2015. So if you ask what went wrong, I can safely say everything went wrong that morning.
Peggy, can I ask you just to try and speak a little bit louder, so that we can hear you a bit more clearly? And I think that's, it's quite expansive, the list that you have given. And it's also important for us to dive a little bit deeper into each of those issues so that we all understand that what we saw happening on that fateful morning was a culmination of a system that is broken down, as you have explained, that allowed that situation to unfold in the first place, right?
Exactly. Those crashes happen because every link in the safety chain is broken. If the safety chain is strong, if drivers are properly trained and certified, if vehicles are roadworthy and well maintained, if the scholar transport forums look after the owners and vehicles like they should, if the department does their duty, and you can take that right, if everybody takes their duty of care responsibly, then these things won't happen. But to fix this, we need to fix it at every single level. We can't throw just the book of justice at the driver. He is the end result of a lot of things that went wrong. So we need to look at every part of a system that played a role, that were not doing what they were supposed to be doing, that caused that event to happen.
Mogebe, I want to come to you and also ask you the same question. Your own reflections, Mogebe, on what went wrong.
Cathy, I absolutely cannot disagree with Peggy on any level. It is such a huge tragedy that we are facing, and I can only, even begin to imagine what the families are going through with regards to this loss. But this is a systemic failure. It is across the board. So at aware.org, what we say is that whatever problems we face, whatever ills in society are related to the whole of society. And therefore, that is the approach that we taken. And when we speak about the whole of society, it means that every lever of society. So as Peggy mentioned, it means the transport system, it means the school system, it means the individual that was involved in this accident. It means all the levers that are involved in allowing such a tragic event to take place. It's a chain of events that tied together leads to disaster, really. And so we have to begin to look at how we start to fix this, and it has to be at each level. But in our fixes, we also have to remember where we come from, as in we have to find South Africa where it is, find the ill where it is, and be practical and sober in the measures and the solutions that we come up with.
Acknowledging that there are different levels of systems that had broken down is something that is not always easy, because it means that even those that don't want to assume any kind of responsibility or even guilt now have to. Because if you're the person that is in charge of overseeing scholar transport and making sure that all the vehicles that are transporting scholars are actually licensed to do that, then you too contributed, right, to that failure that we saw earlier on in the week. How do you think that we can be internalizing this a bit more deeply, to understand that when officials, in whatever capacity, neglect their responsibility, they are adding and they are enabling the crumbling of the system and the breaking down of the system?
So, Cathy, I'm not sure who the question
is for you. It's for you. It's for you.
Oh, it is for me. Yes. So I think the starting point is to be very careful about the blame game. I think often our first point of call is to find who is it that we blame. We need to hold someone accountable. As long as we hold the first possible person accountable, then we feel perhaps a little bit better about ourselves, because we feel that we've somewhat dealt with the situation, but it's not helpful. I think that when we look at accountability, it is important that it's about accountability and about remedying the situation and looking at ways forward, rather than just about looking at punitive solutions to it. I think punitive solutions are a big part of what needs to happen, because people need to know that you cannot enable such situations. And I think enabling is a good word to use. But I think the truth is that as individuals, and that's why there's a great deal of lawlessness on our roads, even, for example, if we're just talking about roads, is that we don't internalize the fact that every action has a counter reaction. So even as an individual, if I don't follow a particular set of rules or a simple rule, if I decide that I'm above this specific rule, it means that I've taken a choice to potentially put the lives of other people in my hands. And until that is absorbed and internalized, and people understand that there are in fact repercussions or possible repercussions, and life-changing ones, life-altering, massive repercussions, then we do not really get very far. So at each level, we need to have people understand what it is that they are doing, whether it is if I'm sending texts on the road, for example, which is a simple example, but something that people do often. This can be a life-changing action that I'm doing. If I give a permit to someone that is not that should not be given a permit. It means that I am potentially putting the lives of actual children at risk. So it is about this concept of understanding the consequences of actions. And it's about really back to basics and looking at people understanding humanity, actions, that actions have consequences, that it could be me. Because the insight that we find across the board is that South Africans have this otherism where they believe that they will not be affected by certain scenarios. It will not happen to me. I will not get caught. I will not be the one in an accident until I am. Then the story is completely different. So how do we start breaking down the barriers of communication and understanding with our fellow South Africans so that it goes beyond just a message that bounces off someone, but is actually understood and internalized? And that's what needs to, at the very basic level, happen.
You're raising an issue which I think is also so important, and it's about cognitive dissonance. You know, that we know the dangers, we know what we should and shouldn't do, but for whatever reason, we don't seem to do it. And I'm going to continue on that particular thread with you, Penny, just so that, you know, maybe from the work that you have done, you're able to also help us better understand ourselves and our behavior on the road. It's now 10:30. Time for your latest news headlines.
Thank you, Cathy. On the news headlines on SAFM, I am Onde Lambana, and a very good morning. Squatter transport operations have been disrupted in and around Lenasia, south of Johannesburg. The operators have embarked on a work stoppage following an unannounced blitz by the Department of Roads and Transport yesterday. The Eastern Cape Department of Education has confirmed that the third teacher who was rushed to the Nelson Mandela Academic Hospital in Mthatha yesterday has also passed away. This follows a shooting incident by a suspended deputy principal at Ndabankulu Primary School before he turned the gun on himself. And the European Union has said it will defend itself against any form of coercion after President Donald Trump withdrew his threat to levy tariffs on U.S. allies who oppose his plan to take over Greenland. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
When you train for results, you don't quit halfway. Earn up to 7.35% interest with a Nedbank Just Invest account. Access your money within 24 hours. Keep your money agile. Get money fit with Nedbank. See money differently. Nedbank. For more information, visit nedbank.co.za. We're licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
What's with the camouflage, Dorf?
I'm going hunting. Just me, nature, and my most underrated off-roader, a rental car.
Hunting? You could fit that little car in your backpack, Dorf.
I sit in the driver's seat. Baggage at the back, chairs on the roof. The kudu is going to get in and strap its own seatbelt, Savvy.
Could do with more legroom, Dorf. Go hunt for a new 4x4 at WeBuy Cars. They got great deals.
Oh, shot, Savvy.
Don't be Dorf, be savvy. We buy cars geared for that big trip, geared for you.
Taking a look at your markets this morning, the rand is currently trading at 16 rand 27 to the dollar, 21 rand 83 to the pound, and 19 rand 02 to the euro. Markets in Asia were mainly higher at the closing bell. The JSE is mainly green during mid-morning trade. Markets in Europe are trading weaker. And look at that gold price. Gold trading at $4,945 per at $45. Will it breach that 5,000 rand mark? Platinum $2,626 per ounce, and the price of Brent crude oil is at $64.41 a barrel.
Cathy Mohlahlana is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAFM Radio.
All right, we continue with the conversation on the talking point. We're looking at lessons that we can be drawing from the Vanderbijl Park incident. And we've started off with asking the question, what went wrong? And both of our guests have put forward some really important points that I think help us to highlight where the issues might be. Peggy Mars is founder of Wheel Well, an NGO that focuses exclusively on road safety for children. And Mokebe Tulo is the CEO of aware.org. So Penny, Mokebe spoke to something that I thought really reflects a level of cognitive dissonance for us as a people of the country, that for whatever reason, we seem to not fully make the connection of how our behavior, whether good or bad, fully influences the experience that we have on the road, but also the experience of others. Because I think many people, if they're asked what the right thing to do is, they'll give you the right answer. But we're just not able to translate that into action. What do you understand to be driving this kind of behavior on the roads?
It is nothing that is going to happen to us, that we will get away with it. We weren't caught the first time, we weren't caught the second time, the third time we get away with it, until you don't. And then it is too late. Then you can't ask what went wrong. You need to be cognitive in the moment that what you do has consequences. If you are driving at 120 kilometers per hour on the highway and you are on a cell phone, you are no longer in control of that vehicle. If you drive and you have consumed alcohol, you are no longer fit for purpose to drive that vehicle. We need to internalize this and we need to be aware of this. And the other thing, from our perspective, is that you as a driver are already training your children in the vehicle with you to the type of driver they are going to be one day. So if you're on your cell phone, they are going to be. If you speed, they will. And that basically perpetuates the cycle. So it has to start with us. It has to start with each one of us. We need to do what we can do that is within our power of control to make things better.
Do you think that part of why we are unable to break the cycle, generationally so, is as a result of what you are saying, Peggy? That all of these behaviors are modeled, and so generation after generation falls into these patterns?
Cathy, there was a study done in the United States that it takes 20 years from mass motorization till we get to reducing road deaths. And it is because of that. But we can bend that curve towards the favor of safety. If all of us realize that we can do better. Each person that is driving without a license know that they are doing something wrong. They are hoping that they're not being caught. Every person driving under the influence knows that they are wrong. But they think they will get away with it. So if we stop thinking that we will get away with it and do the right thing even though nobody is watching, then we will change for the better. It is not inevitable that this will just perpetuate ad nauseum. It is we know better, we do better. And everybody now listening to these conversations know better and can do better. And we need to implement that in our lives.
Sure. And the question that we're asking this morning is around lessons. What are the lessons that we can and should be drawing from this accident that took place in Vanderbijl Park? In a moment, I'll also be taking your contributions to this conversation on 086 000 2032. That's 086 000 2032. And on the WhatsApp voice note line, 0614 104 107. Mokebe, in terms of lessons, what do you think we should be taking from this tragedy?
Cathy, unfortunately, this event is not an anomaly. I mean, it's not the first time that we hear such upsetting headlines. I think that the circumstances change and the numbers change, but this is certainly not an anomaly. So what we have to do is something that we haven't done before. And what that is what the research tells us, and what I think as a country we've started to do quite well, which is a multi-stakeholder, holistic approach. It is the only way that we can ever change attitudes, social norms, and behaviors. We have to combine education, enforcement, technology, and infrastructure. We have to engage with communities, with schools, with workplaces, with transport authorities. And we have to foster a culture of responsibility and an all-of-society approach to participating. And all of this has to be done on an evidence-based level. We must have these conversations, and we must make people aware, and we must wake people up, because that is important. But as you said, that we suffer from a great deal of cognitive dissonance. In a few days, the world will have moved on. That's unfortunately the reality of things. So our action that we take has to be continuous, has to be unending, has to be action, action, action throughout. There's no stopping. There's no time for us to waver. And this is across all of these levers that I've spoken to: education, enforcement, using the technology, using infrastructure. And that means that it involves all elements, government, private sector, individuals. Role modeling is something that Peggy spoke to, and it is so important in terms of breaking the cycle or continuing cycles, but we must break the cycle. That is it. We must break the cycle. We cannot just sit on our hands, have the conversations, and feel upset for some time, and then continue life as usual, business as usual. That's not going to be what changes things. We need to change attitudes and behaviors, because fundamentally that is the bottom line. It is the attitudes, and the attitudes have different ways in which we see them coming out. And reckless driving is just an example of this. Whatever happens on the road is just an example of this. But what are the underlying causes of all of these things? We have to look at the reality of who we are and look at all of the elements, the behavioral interventions that have to take place, the public awareness campaigns that we have to get involved in, using the evidence that, as I said, we have to benchmark and see, are we getting anywhere? Are we moving the needle in any way? And looking at what is it that we are doing wrong? What is it that we have to improve? And that only happens through continuous work.
Mokebe, I'm listening to how you are unpacking this multi-stakeholder approach. And what it says to me is that there's no easy way out. That this is not a quick fix. It's not something that you do today. You don't change one thing today and expect that you're done. And tomorrow it's brought about the wholesale change that you want to be. And that's perhaps where part of the challenge is. Do you get a sense that there is an appetite to do the hard work of truly changing things?
I do think there's an absolute appetite to change things, but I think there's a bigger appetite for quick fixes. And it is understandable, because all of these matters are urgent and we need to see results. And of course, there's pressure, there's public pressure, there's pressures that are mounting, especially when an event is so public, and it is important. But I think that the approach has to be a binary approach, so to speak, a two-pronged approach, so to speak. You have to go top-down and you have to go bottom-up. So there are those quick fixes that you can put into place and that you must put into place, because you must take action now. You can't just wait for the behavioral change that happens over time. It's not a quick fix. It happens over time. But at the same time, you have to put those other things into place so that we're not just quick fixing. As we are putting the quick fix into place, and as we are holding people accountable, as we are arresting people, for example, as we are doing investigations into exactly why this matter occurred, and therefore holding each of the players accountable, we also have to do the hard groundwork behind the scenes. That's not necessarily something where you see the results straight away. But if we don't do both of these things, we are going to land up here every year, every month. That's just it.
And I guess it explains why often there is the sense that we keep moving from crisis to crisis, always troubleshooting, because whatever is anchoring the quick fix is not sustainable. It's not on the long term. Jacques, you also want to touch on this issue. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Cathy, and to you and your listeners, and to Lebo and his fellow deep staff behind. Cathy, I think it's a cultural problem in terms of it's the South African political culture that they don't care about the South African citizens of the country. This wasn't the first time. We all know the lawlessness of the taxi associations and basically transport departments within this country, or the people that run within the transport industry. We've had problems with trucks. We've got problems with the Blue Ride Brigades. I mean, a couple of days ago, I was pushed off by a security company that was basically transporting or protecting a taxi boss, and they drive in all three lanes. So it's a yellow lane, the slow lane, and the fast lane, or half and half. I mean, let's be honest, it's only the families that are suffering at the moment. And then I heard the other, the scholar transporters didn't want to transport, I think, scholars in Soweto. So at the end of the day, I think we have to take that into account, that culturally, the black child is actually not looked after, and I do mean it with the utmost of respect. As an Indian person, I can say that even Indian people take transport, but not as scholars, not as many as black scholars are. Today, the children that don't go to school in Soweto, they are the youth that actually are unemployed and find themselves not being able to get a job or not being able to educate themselves, because the taxi association or the scholar transport feels that it's not right for them for their vehicles to be impounded because they're not roadworthy. Now, I cannot unfathom how a person can have an understanding that we're going to talk about why our cars are not roadworthy, but we're going to continue to take young people, the future of South Africa, feed them the disillusion that they are important, while taking them into vehicles that not one of our ministers' children would go into, not one of our elite CEOs and all the board members of companies that are here. And then we come to a situation where we say, like in Addington, they are foreigners within schools and stuff like that. It isn't a premise, or it isn't a feeling. It's actual facts that the politicians haven't put the South African citizens, the people that were born and bred in this country, that have generations and generations of family here, and they get treated like second-class citizens in their own country. I mean, Cathy, what do you think? What do you think those parents that lost their children in that accident, and the taxi driver or the driver of that vehicle said, no, he was trying to overtake, but he thought he had enough time, but unfortunately, he still has his life. He's still going to go to jail. He's still going to be fed with 3 meals. He'll be allowed to get an education. He'll be allowed to have all these things, while all the children and the parents of those children's futures were stolen and taken back, and will never get them back. So there's a whole generation of a certain family that may not carry on or continue with their name or legacy ever again.
Jacques, I agree, right, with ensuring that the driver faces the full might of the law, right? He's a 22-year-old, yes, a young man, but an adult nonetheless, and there's a responsibility that he needs to bear as a result of his actions. But I also want to go to what Penny has said about the blame and how we allocate blame in a situation like this. Because the other question that we should rightfully be asking is, why was a 22-year-old unlicensed driver driving these young children in the first place? So why was he there in the first place? And that should also be something that we use to help us in coming up with something better for the future. Don't you think?
Yes, Cathy, that's what I agree with you. But don't you think it's literally the culture of the owner of that scholar transport or that vehicle enabling a 21-year-old to take out children because there is a complete break in the law of this country.
Yeah.
There is nothing that culturally, that's something culturally, the owner of that vehicle, so there's two people responsible here. Culturally, the person that owns the vehicle is one. The other one is the person that jumped in, this 21-year-old person that jumped into it. His skill level and his ability to actually drive this vehicle, his irresponsibility to understand that he's taking young people. I'm not even talking, I'm talking generational people for the next generation of their families to continue. The next Elon Musk, the next Miriam Makeba, the next anything. We don't even know. It could have even been the next Hitler. We're not sure. But now we'll never know what those children were capable of. And like I said, I'm in the middle-aged Indian person. But I can see from the outside, looking from the outside of this whole view, that literally the culture, the black politicians or the black society has no empathy for their own youth and freedoms of this country that it's given.
Okay.
I mean, literally, I feel that that's such a loss to the black community that, like I said, it's just my opinion.
Okay.
But I'm saying,
All
looking
right.
from the outside in, that's what I feel.
All right, let's leave it there, Jacques. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm back with more of your calls. I see your voice notes also coming through, and we'll give our guests an opportunity to weigh in.
At Dis-Chem, get ready to start the year strong with better health and better rewards. Enjoy 20% off the lifestyle food range, plus an extra 10% off when you swipe your Better Rewards card. And get 2+1 cheapest free on any Future Life foods. Look out for the Better Rewards icon to get an extra 10% off on Better Rewards brands. Offers valid from Tuesday 13 January to Sunday 15 February. Only at Dis-Chem. Better health starts here.
The thirst for maximum points has kicked in. Ziga Mambo and Amakosi are both looking for first victory in Group D. This is the bottom of the table contest of the CAF Confederation Cup. Witness the Southern African Derby, Zesco United clashes with Kaizer Chiefs on Sunday, 25 January at 2:30 p.m. live on SABC Plus and SABC One. Then on SABC radio stations at 3 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The Talking Point with Cathy Mohlahlana. Weekdays, 9 a.m. till midday.
All right, we continue the conversation on the Talking Point. Lebohang, you're in Cape Town. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Sis Cathy, and to your guests and the listeners.
Yes, sir.
Just my contribution, I slightly changed my narrative, what I was going to say based on what the previous caller said. I slightly disagree when he said that it's a cultural thing. No, it's not about race. If there is no laws put in place and those laws are policed, in any culture, in any society, we will end up where we at. What we do agree is that where we at now is purely because we've got the wrong politicians who are not patriotic enough for their people. They're greedy and they are hungry for the government purse. So what they will do, they will go and get votes from the taxi bosses, and then they get those guarantees, and in return, they then don't do what they're supposed to do in terms of hold them accountable in following the laws of this country, period. So they can do anything that they want to do. Get a 21-year-old, like you said, and say, go and pick up those kids there. The parents of those kids, unfortunately, might not or may know that this person is not adequate enough to drive. I wouldn't blame them on that one because they need to have prior knowledge to that. If they do, then they also liable on that one. But my biggest gripe is every year, same story. We overanalyze and we come up with the same rhetoric, advice, topics, behavior. Let's call it for what it is. You cannot expect someone just to wake up and say, oh, I'm going to do a good thing. No. What you have to do is that just give those people consequences. If you don't do what we ask you to do, these are the consequences and we stick to it. Until then, we will continue having this conversation kids will continue to perish, and we'll have all those accidents in Easter, at festive. It's a recurring conversation, and I've got a problem where we come in and there's nothing brand new in terms of ideas that we bring up. It's a talk shop. That's all. We go and rehash what was said a couple of years ago, put it in a nice context, give it a nice English, and that it's the same thing. The advice is, the ideas is the same. We're saying we wish people to take ownership of this. No. If there's no rules and they are not enforced, human nature will take place.
Okay.
People will just do whatever they want.
Okay.
So until enforcement is happening of the rules, sorry, we'll be back where we're at. And for that to happen, we need politicians that are patriotic, that are care, and they are not there just for their own selfish needs.
Okay, Lebra, let's leave it there. Butana in Rosebank.
My sister and your guest, thanks for taking my call. I'm sorry, it's not about the black culture. It's about the lawlessness that has been allowed to happen. And you know, your caller last week summed it very nicely. That accident was avoidable if all the drivers were responsible. Of course, the young boy must be taken to task. Of course, his right is in jail because of his behavior. And let me remind you, the one that killed those kids in Westland was not a black person. Those kids that died they burned in that vehicle. It was not a black person. I didn't even spend 1 day in jail. Is that a culture?
I didn't understand Jacques to be talking about culture in as far as race, but culture in as far as what we allow and enable as motorists and as drivers on the road.
Why you say the black culture?
So
why you mention the black culture?
How I understood his framing of that was that you have a black government in charge that clearly does not care for the welfare of the black child. So
I make a reference of Westland. The person that killed those kids there, he was not a black person. And it was not a driver. It was a white person. He didn't spend 1 day in jail. People burned to death. What do you call that? A culture? You can be better than that, Cathy.
Okay.
Please.
Look, yeah, Butana, like I said, that's the frame of reference that I understood Jacques to be talking from is not what you understood him to be saying. So, and you're welcome to interpret it, right, in the way that you heard it. But I certainly understood him speaking about culture from the perspective of giving the keys to a scholar transport vehicle to a 22-year-old who you know doesn't have a license, and saying that is the culture in society that needs to be changed. And he even said, as an Indian man, he knows that there are, yes, Indian people that would use scholar transport, but this is a problem that affects the black majority. No?
Okay, no, maybe I misunderstood it. My apologies.
Okay.
But yes, my apologies if I understand it differently. But I didn't hear him proper.
Okay.
But the accident in Westland is a totally different person. Yeah. It's an old person, not a young person. It's an old person.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that, Butana. Thanks for that. Look, the overwhelming responses that we're getting is that this is an issue of general lawlessness, which is why it is so pervasive across racial lines, across generations. And I come back to what Peggy said. Did you hear Peggy clearly? She says, based on research done in the US, it takes 20 years to turn around the accident rate. So what does that mean? That you need how many generations of young people that are growing up that need to see a different driving culture, different driving behavior that is modeled to them so that they can do better than what their parents and those before them are doing. Peggy, let me come to you. We're quickly running out of time. The hour has just
I wish we had more
by.
time.
I know.
Quick from me, the Children's Access, that the best interest of children should be considered in all decisions made about them. If we apply that as a yardstick, every single one of us at every level that affects our children, then change will happen for the better. We can't look at the picture too big, we will get overwhelmed, but we can bring it down to our personal level. Let each one of us do better. Little bits of better brings along change.
Thank you so much for that, Peggy. Mokebe, good, your chance or your parting shot, rather?
Thanks, Cathy. I think my parting shot is, yes, each one of us has to do our part, but it's not going to happen from the ether. The action has to be driven. It has to come from somewhere. We have to hold our leaders accountable, first of all. We have to change things in terms of role modeling and break the cycle and find a way to take action that changes it from a trajectory of 20 years. I'm sure the study shows that it's 20 years, all things equal, or given a certain set of circumstances. So we need to find whatever it is that changes those circumstances in order to change the behavior sooner. So interventions need to take place. And as just a point of interest, when we look at the road fatality numbers and December festive numbers, the types of vehicles that contributed to most of the crashes were actually small motor cars, 55%, followed by light delivery vehicles, 20%. Minibus vehicles and trucks were involved in only 7% and 6% of crashes, respectively. So when we do look at the factors, we also just have to be objective in what we look at and to look at the facts as they are. But it is fundamentally a collaborative effort, a whole of society approach, all the way from the individual, in agreement with Cathy 100%, all the way to holding our leaders and our government accountable, and knowing what's happening in our lawmaking. We've got plenty of laws in place. We've got plenty of wonderful policy in place. But what happens to the enforcement thereof? Okay. How involved are we when it comes to even making that policy and ensuring that the enforcement of that policy takes place? That is our responsibility.
Mokebe Tulo, the CEO of Away.org, and Peggy Mars, founder of Wheel Well. Listening to those figures, if you and I did what we need to do on the road, take responsibility for ourselves, would we even be having this conversation? Let's take you to the latest news headlines, or news update rather.
Thank you, Cathy. On the top story, scholar transport operations disrupted in Nilesia and Eastern Cape. Department of Education confirms the death of a third teacher in Dabangulu. For SFM News, I'm Ondelambana, and a very good morning. Scholar transport operations have been disrupted in and around Lenasia, south of Johannesburg. The operators have embarked on a work stoppage following an unannounced blitz by the Department of Roads and Transport yesterday. More than 60 unroadworthy vehicles were impounded and 3 operators were arrested. One of the operators, Tembangwane, says they feel ambushed by the department.
The plan was to ambush our members. Our members were ambushed. And that is not right for the government to do that. If they need to work with us and not if we now, let us do that. And the CNZ as a Bantabatala and the CNZ professional. Not ambush anyone. We can't ambush our government. We love our government. But if the government come with this attitude, then it tells us that they are being somebody, some other people that we don't know and we don't accept.
A couple aged 32 and 23 years old from Bizana in the Eastern Cape is expected to appear before Qumbu Magistrate Court this morning following the murder of a 3-year-old boy. It is alleged that the toddler's stepfather assaulted him to death with a stick before the couple allegedly placed his body in a bucket and tied it with a wire. Police spokesperson Welile Makyolo says the couple allegedly buried the body in a shallow grave at Sulengama village in Qumbu. The toddler's mother allegedly visited visited Mbizana police station and reported the child as missing person in 2024. Makyolo says the mother is facing an additional charge of defeating the ends of justice.
Investigation proved her wrong, and she ultimately told the police the truth that her partner assaulted to death her child, and they both put him in a 20-liter bucket and buried him. And the decomposed body, still in a bucket, was retrieved. And the couple will appear before Kumbu Magistrate Court today, Friday, the 23rd of January.
The Eastern Cape Department of Education has confirmed that the third teacher who was rushed to Nelson Mandela Academic Hospital in Mthatha yesterday has also passed away. This follows a shooting incident by a suspended deputy principal at Ntabankulu Primary School before he turned the gun on himself. One teacher and perpetrator were declared dead at the scene, while another teacher died at Ntabankulu Medical Center. The third teacher's death has been confirmed this morning. The deputy principal was out on bail following sexual assault charges. KwaZulu-Natal Education Department has rejected claims of unfair admission processes at Addington Primary School in Durban. This after civic movements March and Operation Tutula, as well as members of the Umkhonto weSizwe Party protested outside the school for a second week. The organizations claim that the school has prioritized placements for immigrant children over South African children, leaving them without space. The department's head, Nkosinathi Ngcobo.
No South African child has been denied a place in school because of the space being occupied by a foreign learner. The marchers demanded we must admit at Addington Primary School about 66 children that they had in the list. Now, when we scrutinized that list, we found that actually most of them had been admitted in other schools and in fact had attended school when schools reopened. But the parents took their children out of those schools, which are not far from where Addington Primary School is. So they want their children to be admitted at Addington Primary. They had not applied.
The European Union has said it will defend itself against coercion after US President Donald Trump withdrew his threat to levy tariffs on US allies who opposed his plan to take over Greenland. Speaking after an emergency meeting of the bloc's leaders, the European Council President Antonio Costa said the EU would not be pushed around.
The goal remains the effective stabilization of the trade relations between the European Union and the United States. At the same time, the European Union will continue to stand up for its interests and will defend itself, its member states, its citizens and its companies against any form of coercion.
Recapping the top story, Scholar transport operations have been disrupted in and around Lenasia, south of Johannesburg. The operators have embarked on a work stoppage following an unannounced blitz by the Department of Roads and Transport yesterday. I'm Lambana for SFM News Headlines at 11:30.
The citizens want to collect 3 points to emphasize that 2026 is their year.
Matthias Nunes delivers. Haaland's header! Wonderful cross. Superb header. 41st minute, Haaland's first chance.
The visitors, Wolves, plan to reveal a big strategy to shock Sir Guardiola's side.
Mane comes back in field, tries to strike from distance. Tolo! 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 Oh my word! That is sensational!
This is the Premier League. Catch Manchester City versus Wolverhampton Wanderers on Saturday, 24 January at 4:30 p.m. Live on SABC Plus and SABC 3. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Mntanami, uthando has no return. Stay, bekezele. It's what makes you a woman. A home is built with patience and quiet. Tula. Don't answer back. Just keep the peace. That's what we were taught.
When you see it, you see the line between love and bekezela. Abusive behavior should never be excused. Search Bright Sky SA and bring the signs of GBV into focus. Connecting for good. Vodacom.
I don't love going to school. I don't love sitting in a classroom with 50 other children. But I do love learning. Yakuthanda ukufunda isiXhosa as a language. I do love getting good grades. I do love UCT Online High School because I do love my future. Apply online before the 26th of January.
The thirst for maximum points has kicked in. Ziga Mambo and Amakosi are both looking for first victory in Group D. This is the bottom of the table contest of the CAF Confederation Cup. Witness the Southern African Derby. Zesco United clashes with Kaizer Chiefs on Sunday, 25 January at 2:30 p.m. live on SABC Plus and SABC 1. Then on SABC radio stations at 3 p.m. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The citizens want to collect 3 points to emphasize that 2026 is their year.
Matthias Nunes delivers. Haaland's header! Wonderful cross. Superb header. 41st minute. Haaland's first chance.
The visitors, Wolves, plan to reveal a big strategy to shock Sir Guardiola's side.
Mane comes back in field, tries to strike from distance. Tolo! 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 Oh my word! That is sensational!
This is the Premier League. Catch Manchester City versus Wolverhampton Wanderers on Saturday, 24 January at 4:30 p.m. live on SABC Plus and SABC 3. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Are you looking for the best spectacle and sunglass deal? With Specsavers buy one get one offer, you get great value for money. Get a free pair of branded single vision prescription sunglasses up to 3,300 Rand when you purchase a comprehensive eye examination and spectacle frames with lenses on your first pair. The best part? Choose from top brands like Police, Hugo, Under Armour, Tommy Hilfiger, Red Bull Spect and more. Affordable eye care? Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
You are listening to The Full Circle,
a space where generations come together in conversation that seek to spark curiosity, inspire innovation, and feed the curious mind. For arts, culture, and robust conversations, join me every weekday between 1 and 3 p.m. on The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga as we explore the stories, lessons, and conversations that guide us back to self.
Clientele is here to safeguard you and your family with compassion because life happens. Be part of a family that truly cares. Our funeral dignity plans have helped South Africans bury their loved ones with dignity for more than 30 years. Let us help you create a meaningful tribute that honors your life and those of your loved ones. We pay out within 24 hours and you will get direct with a clientele funeral plan. Our plans are affordable. Pick the option that suits your needs. Easy to apply, no medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS SAFM to 48031. That's 48031. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Hey, want to check your TV license balance conveniently? Look no further. Our SMS service allows you to do just that. By sending a message containing your ID or TV license number to 44210, you can quickly access your balance without needing multiple inquiries or waiting on hold. Plus, standard SMS rates apply. Take advantage of this efficient method to stay informed and streamline your payment process today. T's and C's apply.
#SAFM Talking Point.
Celebrating our music heritage right here on the Friday Wind Down.
Chatika butomi majibonana akuna chumu la mutinilo senzi yasheketile no yashilungwini ziyalaba mutiro onda makweru salamu na mama Sofamba mina tata mwana mama salamu na mama Sofamba mina tata mwana mama salamu na mama Sofamba itachena mani itwa weno swipeburile takani ya bazi ni ya jonene ni ya tutavuswana itwa weno itatuti waliwena salamu na mama salamu na mama zofamba mina tata mwana mama salamu na mama salamu na mama zofamba mina tata mwana mama salamu na mama salamu na mama zofamba mina tata mwana mama.
A Friday wind-down guest for today, none other than Jeff Maluleke. This is going to be a pre-recorded interview with him. He is from Bushbuck Ridge and has been the soundtrack of democratic South Africa. His first breakthrough record was a deal in 1995, a record deal. He spent 30 years in this industry as a multi-award winning artist. You can't tell me you don't know Salah. You don't know the song. There's no way you don't know that song. And of course, he's also brought us Kilimanjaro, Vuya, and many other popular hits. So we spoke to him ahead of the release of his new EP 2025, Jomela. And he spoke to us about what inspired his music. We spoke about some of his cultural experiences that he also weaves into the music. So he's a singer, songwriter, and guitarist. And of course, I began that interview by asking him about his creative process.
Yeah, I would say thank you so much also for the question. I think I was very fortunate, Cathy. You know, when you are a musician, writing songs, going to the studio and record, you know, I never had an idea of becoming popular or making money or whatsoever. But being a musician, for me, it was a self therapy because, you know, I was stuttering a lot. You know, when I was growing, I was stuttering like seriously. So music became a place where I found comfort and relax to a place where I got comfort. So, you know, I was just doing what I love basically, and surprisingly, I was fortunate that I got a deal with EMI where they end up taking my music into consideration, giving me a record deal in 1996, where, you know, I came up with the and fortunately, you know, I was also surprised that people received my music, and yeah. So basically, I was just doing what I love, recording, just to, you know, I was having fun, but I never had an idea of getting popular and all of that. I knew that could happen, but my mind was mostly not there.
Did your stuttering ever affect how you thought about your life in the music career would be? Because of course you're in the public a lot, you're having to take a lot of interviews. How did that affect your journey?
I think at first, around 1996, it was worse. I could not even do interviews, you know. I was very nervous because, remember, it was my first time on the limelight. So, you know, I was shivering, you know, I wouldn't even have started to talk to you now. I would have stuttered a lot. So it was very difficult. Cathy, being honest, it was difficult. It was challenging. You know, EMI ended up taking me to a speech therapy so they can help me because they could see that I could not handle the interview.
And look at you today.
I'm trying.
No.
Yeah.
Look, you're more than trying. You've obviously come a long way, and I'm sure that it hasn't been an easy journey. I want to talk about some of your musical influences because when I listen to your songs, especially some of the earlier music that you produced, if I didn't know that you were a South African artist, I would have thought it was coming from somewhere out of Mozambique. So I'm curious. I'm curious about that. Who are the artists that have influenced your sound, or what has influenced your sound?
I think around 94, 95, I used to listen to African. I actually enjoyed African music. I would listen to the sounds of Miriam Makeba, Hugh Masekela. I would listen to everything that is from South Africa, basically. South African music in short, your Hugh Masekela, your Busumhlongo, and out of South Africa, of course, I would listen to your Keita Yosondo, Mozambican music. I listen to African music genre, your Fela Kuti in general, yeah. So that's what I used to listen a lot. And also, I did not pick only on African music. I also even listen to jazz as well, just to enjoy. I mean, I was just enjoying the music, not listening because I want to learn from that, but I was listening because I was enjoying that classic fusion jazz. I would listen to that, because I enjoy the sounds of instruments.
Friday Wind Down. Kick off your weekend the right way.
You're listening to the Friday Wind Down, and our guest today is Jeff Maluleke. And of course, many of you would know his music over the years. He's, been in the industry 30 plus odd years, and what incredible music he has gifted not only South Africa, but also the world with. So before we got cut off, I was asking you, Jeff, about how listening to all of this music from the continent ultimately influenced your sound. And is there a way in which you categorize yourself? Some people say, no, I'm an African pop artist, or I am, you know what I mean. So do you have a particular category for your music?
Truly speaking, I do not categorize the music that I do. I don't. I would say that people, they categorize the music that I do, like around 1998, 99, they will call my music world music, like when I do other interviews, and journalists will classify my music as world music, and others, they will say it's Afro folk music, others, they will say it's Afro fusion. So it depends how people hear it,
Absolutely. We'll continue the conversation with Jeff. And of course, it is the Friday Wind Down, so it has to have a lot of the music too. We're going back to some of the classics before we look at his upcoming EP. This is Kilimanjaro.
Celebrating our music heritage right here on the Friday Wind Down. the Friday Wind Down. Kick off your weekend the right way.
You're still tuned in to The Talking Point, and we're hanging out with Jeff Maluleke. He is our guest on the Friday Wind Down, and we're getting into his new EP, which is set to be released soon. We've spoken about some of the early years and some of the classics. In fact, played you some of the classics that he has produced. His new EP is titled Jomela, and inspired by his culture and real life experiences. Jeff, when you think about your evolution as an artist over the years, how do you look at it through decades, because you've been on quite a journey? Or is it just about, every work or every project that you have received speaking to where you were at that particular point in time?
Yeah, I think you have already mentioned what I was about to answer. Yes, it's all about where you are at that moment. It's a journey, because each and every year or every after 5 years or 10 years, you have new experiences. So now on this project in particular, the Jomela EP, I find myself at home in Mpumalanga. I moved home, a place of my birth, where I am based at this moment. And I think I lost touch with where I come from. So I wanted to do something right about the more kind of a lifestyle that our people have, like the title Jomela, it's in Zulu, Kambi, Eli Faga Umkombothi, Ijomela Rapu Faka Jala. And when you are in the villages, you have a lot of ceremonies, where they still brew the African beer there. They've never left this culture. And also some of the songs like Ngoma, are the songs that speak about young men who are going to initiative school, especially now in winter, so they can, they do their circumcision there. They don't go to hospital. So all of that, it has all of those type of stories or lifestyle, it's something that has really inspired me so much, so that I can write about these type of stories.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide.
On the news headlines, the pre-sentencing proceedings for EFF leader Julius Malema has been moved to a bigger courtroom due to capacity challenges at the East London Regional Court. The South African Democratic Teachers Union in the Eastern Cape has expressed concern over yesterday's shooting incident at Tambankulu Primary School in Zwelitsha. It's reported that a former teacher accused of sexual assault forcibly entered the school premises, where he opened fire on 3 teachers, killing 2 and injuring another before taking his own life. And squalid transport operations have been disrupted in and around Lenasia, south of Johannesburg. The operators have embarked on a work stoppage following an unannounced blitz by the Department of Roads and Transport yesterday. A full update follows at the top of the hour.
You are listening to The Full Circle,
A space where generations come together in conversation that seek to spark curiosity, inspire innovation, and feed the curious mind. For arts, culture, and robust conversations, join me every weekday between 1 and 3 p.m. on The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga as we explore the stories, lessons, and conversations that guide us back to self.
SAFM music, crafted to make you feel real good. Handpicked just for your pleasure. Classics sounding so good, only on SAFM.
January is for setting intention, less noise, more meaning. So say yes. Yes to beauty, yes to culture, yes to slowing down, and yes to the Montreux Jazz Festival Franschhoek, where Montreux meets Africa with curated global and African music in an intimate setting. Don't miss it. Get your tickets at the end of January and make this your yes moment. Montreux Jazz Festival Franschhoek. Say yes. Visit www.mjfsa.com for details.
Celebrating our music heritage right here on the Friday Wind Down. The Friday Wind Down. Kick off your weekend the right way.
You're still tuned in to The Talking Point, and we're hanging out with Jeff Maluleke. He is our guest on the Friday Wind Down, and we're getting into his new EP. Do you believe that your fans have come to expect a particular sound from you? That if Jeff is releasing an album, we know that, there's certain things that we can expect of that. And if that's the case, how do you manage it as an artist? Because I imagine that you also want to maintain, your creative rights, for lack of a better phrase. You want to do what you feel you want to do in that moment.
Yeah, I think the voice itself should. It's an instrument. You can play a guitar or a saxophone in a particular way. You always writing new songs, but the tone is the most important thing in the music. If people they know your voice, that should be your signature. So I haven't left from that basically, but I explore with melodies. These melodies that I have created on this EP. It's more a tsonga shangani based type of melodies. So even the beats, this is Ngunyuta, the dance song. You know how the tsonga dance. Yeah. So the voice will always tell that this is the guy that we know. This is Jeff, but the music, I take my beat to another level. Like on this project, I also worked with a very young musician who is based in Bushbuckridge. His name is Kendi Sonic. So yeah, the sound is also more nowadays music. Yeah.
The journey of going back home, and how has that influenced you? How has that affected you? And I'm also curious to know just what aspects of home, again, influence your music.
Yeah, I think, my mother was very sick, so I had to go back home and always watch my mother now and again, and also in other life challenges that has forced me to be home. So I used to travel from Gauteng to Bush every time, and then I just saw that let me just build myself a project like a house where while there is still time, and that's what I have done. But I was still based in Joburg, and time and again, we don't have gigs every day. Things has changed. From the last past 20 years to now, things are not the same. You will have a gig once a month. You will have a gig, after 2-3 months, and then it was more better to be home at the end, because there are no you don't have to pay for rent. You don't have to all of that. So life it's more easy at home, and also it's refreshing, and I get to do other things. Like I have a music academy as well that I am running in Bushbuckridge, which is Jeff Maluleke Music Academy, which I was funded for. So I also give back to my community where I come from, as as well to uplift other youngsters who are coming up.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic, Jeff. And you're right. I think at least, that's my experience too. There's something about home that is able to anchor you and even just slow you down in a way that doesn't exist when you're not at home. I wonder if others will share in a similar experience, but I hear you loud and clear on that issue. One of our listeners says, you guys with Jeff Mohlahlana, you remind me of Ezomtoti and Ezodumo, me playing cans and bottles as my musical instruments, no advanced toys at that time. What an amazing guest. So we want to play Jomela coming up. Is there anything in particular you want to tell us about the song?
Yeah, the song is all about a man who married 3 wives, and now the third one, the first one, she's a nice wife. She doesn't complain, she's content. The second wife, she's in the middle. She's okay, she's not that bad. But the third one, she's the most jealous, and then that one, she doesn't want the other two. So it is just a song that celebrates the beauty of Istanbul, a polygamy, it's called polygamy. Yeah.
All right. Don't let Mswati's young wife hear you say that.
Yes.
Celebrating our music heritage right here on the Friday Wind Down.
Kwa zirivala
Friday Wind Down. Kick off your weekend the right way.
You're listening to the Friday Wind Down. Our guest is Jeff Mohlahlana, and we're introducing, of course, his new EP, and we started off with Jomela. Holding on the line in Hoedspruit is Sipho. Good morning, Sipho.
Good morning, Mrs. Cathy and Mr. Jeff Mohlahlana.
Yes, sir.
Yes, but Jeff.
Ayangona man.
Nipukile baba.
Ikona emfongo namjani.
Epukile man. Thanks so much, my brother. We love you. We appreciate your music. Katingati manga kokwane, katingati mango. We are with you here. We love you, my brother. Keep going and God bless you. Thanks so much. Thanks so much, my brother. Okay, thanks so much.
And Sipho, do you support the music by going to the shows and buying the music as well?
That's exactly what we are doing, Sis Cathy. That's exactly what we are doing.
Does it make you feel proud to have somebody that
is
a neighbor?
Thanks so much for taking my call. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Sipho out in Hoedspruit, and of course it's down the road, Jeff, from where you from in Bushbuck Ridge, right?
He's my neighbor. Yeah, he's my neighbor. Hoedspruit is my neighbor, not so far from where I stay.
Absolutely, and. It's such a beautiful part. It's such a beautiful part of the country. So with this new EP, then, what are you hoping to communicate to not only the people that have loved you and followed you over the years, but also to the industry about where you are in your current journey?
No, yes, 100%. Cathy, I think with music you do for everyone who enjoys music. You don't categorize to say this is for this is people, this is for this type of people. It's for everyone who enjoys music, basically.
And what do the next couple of months look like in as far as your itinerary, promoting this music? Where can people also look forward to maybe seeing you perform live?
Yeah, at this moment I'm in Mozambique. I'm on tour. I'm doing live performances.
Something tells me that you're right at home when you're in Mozambique. I don't know, but something tells me.
It's a home away from home as well. Yes, 100%.
Have you been able to build audiences there? Because I imagine your music also resonates so much with Mozambicans.
100%. Remember, I use Tsonga. I'm a Tsonga. You have a lot of Tsongas here. With the song called Sala, it's one of the songs that the song has been trending for many years, and till to date, the song is still on radio. It's still everywhere, and people still enjoy the song. So they always call me to do live shows this side every time. Some other times I said, no, now I can't. I just want to, do other things. But now it's winter and people, they enjoy up close, the up and close type of performance. It's not only the outdoor, but the indoors. Yeah.
Jeff, before we wrap up our conversation, you spoke about a music school that you were also opening up back home. Tell us about that project.
Yeah, the project we have registered in 2009, and since we've been operating in Bushbuck Ridge, we've been doing classes, going to schools and conduct lessons, your theory and also practical. And we have kids that we've changed a lot of kids' lives. We have discovered a lot of artists. Some of them now, they are professional drummists, pianists, guitarists. One of them, he was playing guitar on one of the songs. A guy that I've taught guitar, and we taught him, and now he can play guitar. And we are still moving with this project till today.
You know, when you think about working with young people and helping to show them that there is a career in the music industry and having to give them hope about what that career might entail, what is it that you say to them? Because, you've also touched on how much the industry has changed and what that has meant for musicians like yourselves.
Yeah, it is very important to do something aside. But I would like to encourage the youngsters to that they must go to school, finish their school, go to tertiary. But at the same time, you can do the music. You take music as a hobby, because there are other kids who go to smoke and do other silly things instead of doing something aside. Once you go to school and then after school, you need something else, like a hobby, something that will keep you busy, something that will bring joy into life, something that will occupy your mind. Because there are so many talented young people who don't even know that they are talented. Not only in music, in the arts, your dance, your acting, and all of that. You need to do something part-time so that you don't go and start to smoke, because this smoking thing and alcohol abuse is a problem to our youngsters these days.
Well, Mr. Mohlahlana, let me thank you so much for your time this morning and for being our guest on The Talking Point. We wish you all of the very best with your new project. If people want to get in touch, where they can go before we close out with one other song from your latest EP?
Thank you so much, Cathy, for having me. They can also find me on official Jeff Mohlahlana on Facebook page. That's where I post my performances, and also I also interact with my fans there. Yes.
All right, that's where we leave it with Jeff Mohlahlana on this Friday. It also brings us to the end of The Talking Point for this week. The show will be back with you again Monday between 9 and midday. Until then, have yourselves a wonderful weekend. Be safe on the roads if you're out traveling, and God bless you. Up next is Ngoma from the latest EP of Jeff Mohlahlana, Jomela.
Celebrating our music heritage right here on the Friday Wind Down.
ngoma ngoma le ngoma le ngoma le yamaja ngoma ngoma le ngoma le ngoma ngoma le ngoma ngoma le ngoma ngoma yamaja ngoma ngoma le ngoma le ngoma ngoma le ngoma ngoma le ngoma ngoma yamaja.
Hashtag SAFM Talking Point. SAFM Music. Good times, good memories.
I'm just like somebody's wife.
Old school sounding so good. SAFM Music with you wherever you go.
For 90 years, one voice has informed, challenged, and connected a nation. SAFM, South Africa's national English public radio station. Established in 1936 as the SABC's very first service, the A program evolving through the English service, Radio South Africa to SAFM in 1995, shaping thought and strengthening democracy. From a full-spectrum station to a trusted home of news and talk, SAFM continues to lead the conversations 90 years strong. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
SAFM 104 to 107 nationwide. Leading the conversation.
It's 12 o'clock on Friday, the 23rd of January. A warm welcome to Updated Noon here on SAFM. Leading the conversation, I'm Jack Erica. And that's the sounds where Sakina Kamwendo will be coming to you from live because...
The Firearms Control Act 60 of 2000 prescribes sentences for such offences, including the option of a fine or imprisonment for maximum periods ranging from 5 years up to 15 years.
Well, the pre-sentencing hearing into EFF leader Julius Malema has started at the East London Regional Court. Sakina Kamwendo is there. We'll get an update from her. And...
it's a memorial service, like as we've indicated. We are celebrating lives of our children and know that there's about 6 schools that are affected here.
A memorial service in honor of the 14 learners who died in the Scholar transport accident underway in Vanderbijl.